Your heart pounds as you face a critical decision with everything on the line. In these pressure-filled moments, our ancient instincts take over, often clouding our judgment. But what if you had a reliable system to cut through the noise? Stoicism offers exactly that, not as dusty philosophy, but as a practical operating manual for life's toughest calls. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This video will give you a step-by-step framework built on these timeless Stoic principles. By the end, you will possess a complete mental toolkit for unshakable clarity and resilience when the stakes are highest. We will explore how to transform uncertainty into purpose and why some people thrive under pressure while others struggle. What is the one decision you are currently putting off because the pressure feels too great? This single insight forms the bedrock of all Stoic decision-making under pressure. The most powerful tool in your arsenal is understanding what is and is not within your control. Everything else in this framework builds upon this one non-negotiable foundation. It is the anchor that keeps you steady when the storm of pressure hits. The ancient teacher Epictetus laid it out with stunning clarity in his handbook for life. He wrote, "Some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is our own doing. Beyond our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our office, and, in a word, whatever is not our own doing. Your internal world, your judgments, your efforts, and your intentions, these are your domain. Everything else, from the actions of other people to the final outcome of any situation, resides outside the walls of your control." Think about preparing for a high-stakes job interview. You can control how much you research the company. You can control practicing your answers and choosing your attire. You can control your attitude as you walk into the room. These are your actions. What you cannot control is who the other candidates are. You cannot control the specific questions the interviewer decides to ask. You certainly cannot control their final decision. The moment you confuse the two, attaching your sense of worth and effort to an outcome you do not command, you invite anxiety and cloud your judgment. So let us make this practical right now. Pause for a moment and bring to mind 3 things that are currently causing you stress. Now, mentally draw 2 columns. In the first, list every aspect that is within your control, your preparation, your reactions, your next small step. In the second column, place everything that falls outside your control, the opinions of others, potential delays, the final result. This simple act of separation is not just an exercise. It is the first and most critical step toward reclaiming your mental clarity and your power. What if the pressure you feel is not in the event itself, but in your judgment of it? This is the heart of the Stoic discipline of perception, the crucial first filter through which any situation must pass before you can act. We do not react to events directly. We react to the labels and stories we instantly attach to them. A sudden change at work is not inherently a disaster. It is simply a change. It is our opinion that it is a disaster that triggers the cascade of panic. Marcus Aurelius constantly practiced this reframing in his private writings, reminding himself that the chopping block is just a piece of wood and the executioner merely a person. The power lies in stripping away the valued judgments we add on top of reality. Seneca captured this perfectly when he observed that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Our minds amplify potential problems, creating worries out of uncertainties. Consider a tight project deadline. One person perceives it as an unbearable threat. a confirmation of their inadequacy, and their performance freezes under the weight of that story. Another person sees the exact same deadline as a stimulating challenge, an opportunity to focus their skills and prove their capability. The external circumstance is identical, the internal perception is everything. Think back to a recent event that caused you stress. Can you recall the very first thought that flashed through your mind about it? Write that initial judgment down. Was it a fact or was it your opinion? This simple act of noticing is the beginning of mastering your perception and disarming the pressure before it ever takes hold. But that initial judgment is only the first spark. The real challenge comes when we allow it to ignite an immediate, unthinking reaction. The most powerful decision you can make under intense pressure is often to decide nothing at all, at least not right away. This is the art of the strategic pause, a conscious act of creating mental space between your first impulse and your final action. It is in this vital space that Stoic reasoning comes to life, preventing the kind of reactive, emotional decisions we later wish we had handled differently. This practice is the very essence of the Stoic virtue of temperance, the self-command that helps us guide our impulses. Epictetus put it with his characteristic clarity. He said, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they do not have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have." Your strength resides in your choice to act or not to act. The pause is where you reclaim that choice. Without it, you are simply a passenger in your own mind, carried along by a current of feeling. So how do you actually build this pause into your nervous system when pressure is mounting? The technique can be remarkably simple. It could be as basic as taking 3 deliberate, full breaths before you speak or act. Inhale slowly, acknowledging the emotion. Exhale slowly, creating that essential distance. Another powerful method is to physically step away for just a moment, even if it is just turning from your screen to look out a window. This small physical shift creates the mental room you need. Think about the last time you sent a message you later reconsidered, or spoke sharply to a colleague or someone you care about. What was the trigger that preceded it? Was it a certain tone of voice, a piece of feedback, an unexpected delay? Identify your most common trigger for these quick reactions right now. And make a quiet commitment to yourself. The very next time you feel that familiar surge, you will practice the pause. You will take those 3 breaths or take that one step back. In that small, deliberate space, you move from being a reactor to becoming the true author of your actions. The pause gives you a moment, but perspective gives you a map. Now take that immediate problem causing you so much pressure and pull the camera back, far back, until you see it from the edge of space. This is the Stoic exercise known as the view from above, a deliberate mental shift to see your life in its true proportion to the vastness of everything. You are not dismissing your challenges as trivial. You are placing them within a context so immense that their power to overwhelm you begins to fade. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this practice, constantly reminding himself of the bigger picture in his private meditations. He would write, "Reflect often on the speed with which all that exists and is coming into being is swept past us and carried away. How small a patch of boundless and abysmal time has been allotted to each of us. In this vastness, your current crisis is a single, fleeting note in a symphony that has been playing for eons." This perspective is deeply tied to the Stoic idea of sympatheia, the understanding that everything in the cosmos is woven together in a single, interconnected web. Your struggle is not an isolated event, it is one thread in a grand, unfolding tapestry. For a modern parallel, consider that stressful work project. It feels all-consuming, as if your entire world depends on its success. Now pull back the lens. How significant will this specific project be in 1 week when you have moved on to the next task? How about in 1 year when you have grown and encountered new challenges? And what about in 1 decade, looking back on your entire career path? This is not about encouraging apathy, but about cultivating a profound and calming sense of scale. The pressure to perform is real, but its intensity is a trick of proximity. So ask yourself this reflective question with genuine curiosity. How much of the weight I am feeling right now is actually about the thing itself, and how much of it is because my nose is pressed right up against the glass? When you gain this higher vantage point, you do not abandon your responsibilities. You finally see them for what they are, and you can approach them with a clarity that is both calm and immensely powerful. The very idea of preparing for the worst can feel like an invitation for anxiety to move in and take over. We are often taught to stay positive, to visualize success, and to banish any negative thoughts. But the Stoics discovered a profound secret hidden in plain sight. They called it Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of adversities. This is not pessimism. It is a form of mental preparation. By deliberately and rationally envisioning potential setbacks, you gently strip them of their power to shock you when they arrive. You are not inviting trouble, you are building an inner strength that remains steady through it. Seneca captured the surprising result of this practice perfectly. He wrote, "He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." In a beautiful paradox, rehearsing a simpler life in your mind can make you feel more abundant in your current circumstances because you realize the depth of your own resilience. The goal is not to dwell on fear, but to systematically ease it through thoughtful preparation. Think about a public speaking engagement you might feel nervous about. The common advice is to picture a roaring applause. The Stoic approach is different and far more practical. Do not just imagine the worry of forgetting your lines. Mentally walk through the specific steps you would take if it happened. You would pause, take a slow breath, glance at your notes, and calmly find your place again. The audience would barely notice, and you would have navigated a small challenge with composure. By rehearsing the solution, not just the problem, you transform a vague fear into a manageable scenario you are prepared to handle. This practice builds a deep, steady confidence that comes from knowing you can handle more than you thought possible. So take one upcoming event that is causing you some concern. It could be a difficult conversation, a travel day, or a project deadline. Now, identify 3 specific, realistic things that could go off script. For each one, write down a single, calm, rational step you would take to address it. You are not predicting the future. You are simply proving to yourself in advance that you have the resourcefulness to meet it. The Stoic does not just endure what happens, they embrace it. This is the profound shift from resistance to welcome, known as Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. It is the ultimate attitude for turning every obstacle, without exception, into fuel for your progress. Where the previous steps help you manage pressure, this principle transforms pressure itself into a source of power. It is about accepting the present moment unconditionally, not with resignation, but with the active curiosity of finding the opportunity hidden within its core. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius, facing endless political turmoil and personal transition, wrote these guiding words for himself: "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This is not passive acceptance. It is a wholehearted engagement with reality exactly as it is. Consider the historical figure of Cato the Younger, a Stoic who faced immense political defeat. Rather than viewing his failure as a catastrophe, he was said to have embraced his fate with such integrity that his very defeat became a legendary symbol of republican virtue, inspiring others for generations. His story was not about winning, but about how he chose to meet his circumstances. For a modern analogy, think of an elite athlete who faces a severe physical challenge. A common reaction might be frustration, but a mind trained in Amor Fati would see this forced rest not as a setback, but as a necessary and even welcome chance. It is an opportunity to develop mental fortitude, to study the game from a new perspective, and to strengthen other parts of the body that were previously overlooked. The experience becomes a strange and unexpected teacher, so bring to mind a recent challenge in your own life, something that felt like a pure obstacle. Now reframe it with two simple questions. What can I learn from this experience that I could not have learned any other way? And how can this specific situation, if I meet it with courage, actually make me a stronger, more capable person? When you search for the answers, you are no longer a victim of your fate. You are beginning to love it, and in doing so, you unlock a resilience that nothing can truly break. Your mind is the one fortress no external storm can ever truly breach. Marcus Aurelius called this sanctuary the inner citadel, that unshakable core of judgment you carry within yourself. It is not a physical place, but a mental and spiritual stronghold built brick by brick through your daily choices. While outside events may press at the gates, your inner citadel remains the command center, the place from which you calmly assess, decide, and respond rather than simply react. This is the ultimate goal of all our previous steps, the cumulative result of discerning what you control, mastering your perceptions, taking the strategic pause, and embracing your path. Epictetus perfectly described its enduring nature when he taught that people are troubled not by things, but by the views which they take of them. The event itself does not enter your citadel, only your judgment about the event does. Your inner fortress is only as strong as the consistency of your practice. One powerful way to reinforce its walls each day is through a habit of nightly reflection. This is not about dwelling on missteps, but about calmly reviewing your judgments. Before sleep, ask yourself a few simple questions. Where today did I confuse what was within my control with what was not? When did my initial perception of a situation create unnecessary pressure? Did I act with purpose or did I react from impulse? This brief review is not self-criticism. It is the essential maintenance that keeps your inner citadel strong and resilient. It is how you learn from the day's events without being defined by them. So consider this quietly for a moment. What is one belief or assumption you hold that is currently softening your own inner citadel? Is it the belief that you must be perfect to be valued, or the assumption that a single setback defines your entire journey? Identifying this vulnerable point is the first and most courageous step toward strengthening it. Every time you choose a reasoned judgment over a raw reaction, you are placing another stone in your defense, building a refuge of calm that pressure cannot penetrate. Pressure can tempt us to abandon our principles for a quicker, easier path. In those moments, the Stoics turn to virtue as their unwavering guide. Think of virtue not as a rigid set of rules, but as a moral compass built on 4 cardinal points. Wisdom is the ability to see the situation clearly and discern the right course. Courage is the strength to act on that discernment, even when it is difficult. Justice is the commitment to act fairly and for the common good, and temperance is the self-command to act with balance and moderation, avoiding extremes. For a Stoic, a good decision is measured solely by its alignment with these virtues, not by its eventual outcome. The outcome lies outside your control, but your choice to act with integrity is entirely your own. Marcus Aurelius captured this focus on the action itself when he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one. Your character is revealed in the choices you make when no one is watching and the pressure is on." Consider a modern business dilemma. you discover a significant accounting error that, if left undisclosed, would secure a lucrative bonus for your team. The short-term gain is clear, and revealing the mistake will bring immediate complications. The virtuous path, however, calls upon justice, demanding honesty and fairness to stakeholders. It calls upon courage to face the potential disappointment and navigate the situation with care. It requires the wisdom to understand that long-term trust is more valuable than a short-term reward. And it needs temperance to communicate the news calmly without defensiveness or drama. The right decision is the one that honors all four virtues, even if it leads to a more challenging immediate future. So, when you next face a difficult choice, pause and ask yourself this clarifying question: which of these four virtues is being called upon the most right now? Is it the courage to speak an uncomfortable truth, the wisdom to see through a tempting illusion, the justice to consider the impact on others, or the temperance to rein in a reactive impulse? Your answer will point your compass toward a decision you can respect long after the pressure has faded. Describe the problem, do not judge it. This simple instruction is the key to unlocking a superpower of mental clarity under pressure. Your mind is constantly weaving stories around raw events, layering them with interpretation and emotional weight. The Stoic practice of objective description asks you to pause that storytelling machine and report only the bare, observable facts. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this, constantly training himself to see the world without the filter of his own personal drama. He would remind himself to strip away the legend that encrusts an event and see it for what it is. Epictetus gave us the foundational truth that makes this practice possible. He taught that what really concerns us is not external events themselves, but the way we think about them. It is not the thing itself that occupies our attention, but our perspective on the thing. Things in the world are neutral until we assign them a particular meaning. A critical email is not, in its essence, an attack. It is a collection of words on a screen, arranged into sentences that convey points of feedback. The label of attack is a story you add, a judgment that immediately triggers your defenses and fills your system with tension. By describing it factually, you drain it of that emotional charge and turn it into simple information you can work with. Think of a carpenter looking at a piece of warped wood. They do not curse it for being difficult. They simply observe its exact curvature and density, because that factual description is what allows them to know which tool to use and how to shape it effectively. Your challenging situations are no different. Their power over you diminishes the moment you stop describing them with the language of crisis and start describing them with the language of a calm observer. So take a current concern from your own life. Now, challenge yourself to write one single sentence about it that is purely factual, devoid of all emotional language and value judgments. Instead of "my career is falling apart," you might write, "my contract at one company ended last month." Instead of "I am terrified of this presentation," try, "I will be speaking for 20 minutes to 15 people next Tuesday." Feel the immediate shift in the energy around the problem. The facts are manageable. The story you tell about them is what creates the pressure. By mastering this practice of objective description, you are not ignoring the difficulty, you are finally seeing it clearly enough to begin solving it. Every impression that enters your mind presents itself for your approval. The world constantly sends data to your senses, a steady stream of sights, sounds, and interpretations. But you are not a passive receiver, you are the gatekeeper, and your most important power is the art of assent. The conscious choice to either grant or withhold your inner agreement from any thought that knocks at your door. This is the final defense of your inner world, the careful practice of guarding your mind from being carried away by its own initial, often fleeting, reactions. The Stoic teacher Epictetus pointed directly to this as the very source of true understanding, saying that the beginning of philosophy is to be aware of the condition of one's own assent. Your freedom begins the moment you realize you do not have to believe everything you think. An impression is not a command, it is merely a suggestion. Imagine hearing a difficult story about a colleague, one that frames them in an unflattering way. The raw impression arrives with a wave of feeling and a quick judgment. The untrained mind instantly assents, accepting the story as truth, and your entire view of that person shifts in an instant. But a mind practiced in the art of assent intercepts that impression at the gate. It says, "Wait, this is just information presented to me. I do not yet know if it is true. I will look into it calmly before I grant it the power to change my relationships or unsettle my peace." By withholding your immediate agreement, you turn a possible source of tension into a simple question to be explored. This mental space is where your sovereignty lies. So take a quiet moment to reflect on your day so far. Can you identify one unhelpful impression that you accepted without question? It might have been a feeling of uncertainty after a small mistake or a moment of frustration in traffic. Simply notice the impression itself without judgment. Then ask yourself with gentle curiosity, is this necessarily true? What evidence do I actually have? Do I need to grant this thought my full mental approval right now? In that moment of questioning, you are no longer swept along by passing thoughts. You are exercising the art of assent, and in doing so, you are reclaiming the quiet authority over your own mind. The weight of pressure rarely comes from the task directly in front of you. It builds in the anxious rehearsal of future conversations that have not happened yet, and it echoes in the endless replay of past moments you can no longer change. Stoicism brings your focus back to the only point in time where your power is real and active, the unwavering present. This is the single moment where you can actually think, decide, and act. Seneca observed our chronic tendency to trade this moment for imagined troubles, writing that we are in the habit of exaggerating or anticipating sorrow. We lose the present in our fear of the future. Your mind cannot solve a problem that exists only in tomorrow's uncertainty, just as it cannot undo a choice made yesterday. All of your agency exists right here, right now. Marcus Aurelius directed his attention with similar care, advising himself to concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. That precise seriousness is the antidote to the frantic, scattered energy of pressure. When you feel overwhelmed, try this immediate anchor. Stop whatever you are doing and bring your full attention to one single physical sensation. Feel the texture of your keyboard under your fingertips, or notice the specific weight of your feet on the floor. Listen to the most distant sound you can hear in the room. For just 15 seconds, let everything else fade away. This is not an escape from your responsibilities. It is a radical return to the only place from which you can effectively meet them. So ask yourself with quiet focus, not as a burden but as a point of action. What is the one next step, the single, small, concrete action I can take in this very moment to move a pressing issue forward? It is not about finishing the entire project. It is about drafting the first sentence of that email. It is not about resolving a major situation. It is about taking one calming breath before you speak. By fully inhabiting the present, you break the spell of pressure and reclaim your capacity for clear, purposeful action. You have poured your absolute best effort into a goal, and now the outcome rests entirely beyond your reach. This is the precise moment where the Stoic reserve clause transforms anxiety into a profound sense of peace. It is the mental footnote you add to every single endeavor, a quiet acknowledgement that you will do your utmost to succeed, while understanding that some things lie outside your hands. This practice beautifully marries total commitment with total surrender, allowing you to invest yourself fully while holding the final result with an open hand. The ancient teacher Epictetus framed it with the simple clarity of a game of chance. He taught that your duty is to play the game skillfully and with care, while gracefully accepting however the dice may fall. Your control lies in the quality of your throw, never in the final number that appears. Consider an entrepreneur who has spent months developing a new product. They control the launch strategy, the marketing materials, and the passion they bring to the presentation. These are their throws of the dice. What they cannot control is a sudden shift in the economy, a competitor's unexpected move, or the collective mood of the marketplace on launch day. By holding their plan with a reserve clause, they can pour their energy into the launch without tying their entire sense of worth to its commercial reception. Success is welcomed with gratitude, not as a personal triumph, but as a favorable outcome. A setback is met not as a personal failure, but as a simple result that now informs the next logical step. This mental posture frees you from the exhausting roller coaster of hope and fear. So bring to mind one important goal you are actively pursuing right now. Now silently add the reserve clause to your intention. I will work toward this with all my ability, while accepting what lies beyond my influence. Feel the subtle but powerful release of tension that follows. You are not abandoning your aim. You are finally approaching it with the unwavering clarity that comes from knowing you only ever command the effort, never the reward. There is a mentor already living inside your mind, waiting for an invitation to guide you. When pressure clouds your judgment, you can summon this inner sage by asking one profoundly clarifying question. What would a truly wise person do in my exact situation? This exercise of contemplating the sage is not about imitation, but about accessing a higher standard of reasoning that already exists within you. It creates an essential psychological distance from your immediate emotions, allowing you to bypass your own biases and see the path forward with startling clarity. Seneca advised this very practice, writing that we must choose someone whose way of life and actions please us, and keep them before our eyes as if they were an honored guest. Let this figure be your model for living. Imagine you are facing a common interpersonal challenge, perhaps a recurring difference of opinion with a family member over shared responsibilities. Your initial reaction might be frustration, a desire to point out their shortcomings or retreat into silence. Now pause and invoke your sage. It could be a historical figure like Socrates, known for his relentless questioning, or a Stoic teacher like Marcus Aurelius, famed for his calm dignity. What would they see that you are missing? Perhaps they would recognize the other person's own unspoken pressures. Maybe they would advise leading with a question instead of an accusation, or focusing on a shared goal rather than assigning blame. The sage does not get tangled in the emotional heat. They see the underlying structure of the problem and act from principle. This mental consultation lifts you out of the narrow confines of your own perspective and into a broader, more objective view. So think of one person, real or historical, whom you deeply respect for their wisdom. It could be a grandparent, a former teacher, or a philosopher whose words resonate with you. The next time you face a difficult decision, before you act, take one quiet minute to close your eyes and mentally sit with this guide. Ask them your question and listen for the answer that arises from your own best self. This is not about finding a magical solution, but about remembering the strength and clarity you already possess. Fear of loss can tighten its grip just as powerfully as the desire for gain. This deep-seated anxiety over what we might lose, our standing, our connections, our sense of stability, is a constant source of pressure in our choices. But there is a thoughtful Stoic exercise designed to loosen that hold, and it is called negative visualization. Think of it as a companion to preparing for life's challenges, but focused squarely on appreciating the present. It is the deliberate, temporary act of imagining the absence of the very people and things you hold dear. Seneca explained this practice with elegant simplicity, writing that he would periodically reflect on having less, so that he could truly understand how much he possessed that mattered more than material wealth. He was not indulging in sadness, he was strengthening his appreciation for what he had right then. This practice gently reduces our tight attachment to external outcomes, the very source of so much of our daily strain. When you consciously imagine life without your comfortable home, you return from that reflection with a renewed sense of gratitude for the simple shelter over your head. The pressure to constantly acquire more or the fear of losing what you have begins to loosen its hold. Try this simple exercise. Look at an object you value, perhaps the device you are using right now. For just a moment, mentally say goodbye to it. Imagine it is gone. Then, bring your attention back to the present and feel the shift in your appreciation for its presence. Now, take this a step further with something even more meaningful. Bring to mind a person or an ability you may sometimes overlook, like your well-being or a treasured relationship. Close your eyes for just a few seconds and visualize what your daily life would feel like if they were not part of it. Do not dwell on the difficult feelings, but simply notice the clear contrast. When you open your eyes, that person, that capacity is still here, and for this brief, precious moment, you are able to see them not as permanent fixtures, but as genuine gifts. This is the quiet power of negative visualization. It turns ordinary life into a continuous source of abundance, freeing you to make decisions from a place of gratitude, not from a place of fear. A Stoic decision is never made in a vacuum, isolated from the world around it. This philosophy calls us to look beyond our personal comfort and consider the wider circle of our community through the discipline of action. It is the practice of ensuring that every step you take is aligned with justice and contributes to the common welfare. When you are pressured to choose a path that benefits only yourself, this discipline provides a deeper clarity and a different kind of strength, the moral courage to do what is right for the whole. Marcus Aurelius, who carried the immense responsibility of guiding an empire, constantly grounded himself in this principle. He wrote in his private meditations, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." Your actions are woven into the health of the community you belong to. Think of a leader facing the complex challenge of reshaping their team. The situation is demanding, influenced by personal connections, and the immediate impact the choice will create. A self-focused approach might select the simplest, least difficult options, but a leader guided by Stoic virtue would ask a different set of questions. How can I act with the utmost fairness and transparency throughout this process? What decision will ultimately serve the long-term health and integrity of the entire organization, preserving the most opportunities for the greatest number? This does not remove the challenge, but it provides a clear, unwavering compass. The focus shifts from avoiding unease to fulfilling a duty with justice and care. So as you approach your next significant decision, large or small, pause and add this single filter to your process. How can the choice I am about to make serve a purpose larger than my own immediate interest? In asking this, you connect your personal power to a collective strength, and you find that the pressure to be self-serving dissolves into the quieter, more enduring satisfaction of acting for the common good. Your thoughts are not you, they are simply weather patterns moving through the vast sky of your awareness. This is the core of cognitive distancing, a meta skill that allows you to step back and watch your own internal narrative unfold without getting caught in its storyline. The Stoics saw this ability as the primary function of the hegemonikon, your mind's guiding faculty. It is not about suppressing your thoughts, but about changing your relationship with them. You learn to be the calm, steady observer in the center of the mental weather. Epictetus offered a fundamental truth for this practice, teaching that you are not your impression, but merely the one who receives it. The thought of fear is not a command to be afraid, it is merely information passing through. When a wave of pressure arrives and your mind instantly says, "This is impossible," cognitive distancing allows you to quietly note that is a thought of impossibility. This small shift creates an immediate space between the initial spark and your reaction. You are no longer the thought itself, you are the one who is aware of the thought. This simple act of naming is like identifying a cloud as it drifts by. You do not argue with the cloud or try to stop it, you simply acknowledge its shape and let it continue on its way. The next time you feel that familiar surge of concern before a challenging conversation or an important task, try this. Instead of wrestling with the feeling, take one quiet breath and mentally whisper, "That is a thought of fear." Notice how the thought, once named, begins to lose its sharp edges and its power to shape your next move. It becomes one of many passing formations in your mental sky, not the entire horizon. This is not a complex meditation. It is a moment of graceful pause where you reclaim your role as the observer, the one who chooses which thoughts to follow and which to simply watch float by. Life is long if you know how to use it. Seneca offered this liberating perspective, a direct challenge to our frantic sense of time running out. The Stoic practice of memento mori is not a dark fixation on endings, but a profound tool for clarifying beginnings. It is the practice of remembering your own journey has a horizon to fully ignite your present life. When you hold the finite nature of your time as a conscious awareness, the noisy pressures of daily life begin to quiet. The trivial worries that consume so much mental energy, the fear of minor embarrassments, the anxiety over possessions, all of it starts to lose its grip. This reflection sharpens your focus on what is truly significant, which is almost always the pursuit of virtuous action and meaningful connection. Imagine looking back on your life from its final chapter. The things that will matter most are not the minor successes or failures, but the quality of your character, the depth of your relationships, and the contributions you made to something larger than yourself. Every decision you face can be filtered through one simple, grounding question. Does this truly matter when held against the full measure of a life well lived? The deadline that feels all-consuming, the disagreement that seems so important, the material possession you feel you must have, when viewed through this lens, often reveals its true, smaller size. This is not about dismissing your responsibilities, but about seeing them in their proper proportion. So take a quiet moment for a powerful reflection. If you knew for certain that this was your final week of life, what would you immediately stop doing? What would you suddenly find the courage to start? And more importantly, what from that list can you bring into your life today, not as a dramatic gesture, but as a quiet realignment of your priorities? The awareness of life's shortness is not a reason for panic, but the very key to living it with intention and without regret. Our culture often worships at the altar of endless comfort, promising that the right purchase or the perfect routine will finally deliver a life free from hardship. Yet this relentless pursuit of ease has a hidden cost. It makes us fragile. The Stoics proposed a radical alternative, not in seeking out suffering, but in the deliberate, controlled practice of voluntary discomfort. This is the mental equivalent of a fire drill, a way to build your resilience muscles so that when a real moment of pressure arrives, you are already strong and prepared. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus framed this training with powerful clarity. He taught that people who practice enduring small challenges are in training to be free from distress. You are not practicing for the hardship itself, You are practicing for the freedom that lies on the other side of it. By willingly stepping into minor, manageable experiences, you systematically drain the larger, unpredictable situations of their power to intimidate you. The goal is to prove a profound truth to your own nervous system, that you can handle more than you think, and that discomfort is not a signal to panic, but a temporary state you can navigate with composure. Think of how a real pressure, like a sudden financial shift, can feel overwhelming. But if you have already practiced the voluntary choice of a simpler lifestyle for a week, cooking your own meals instead of ordering takeout, or finding free entertainment, that larger shift feels less like a catastrophe and more like a situation you already know how to manage. The fear of the unknown is replaced by the quiet confidence of previous experience. So what does this look like in daily practice? It can be as simple as taking a brief cold shower at the end of your morning routine. It is not about enduring misery, but about feeling the initial surprise and then discovering your ability to breathe through it and find a sense of calm on the other side. It could be voluntarily skipping a single meal to understand the difference between a true need and a passing want. Or it might mean choosing to walk a longer route home, giving yourself the gift of time to think without distraction. Each of these small acts is a vote for your own resilience. This week, choose one tiny, safe, voluntary challenge to practice. It is not a punishment, it is an investment in your future self, building a deep reserve of strength so that when life inevitably brings pressure, you will meet it not with fear, but with the unshakable knowledge that you have already faced harder things by choice. Worrying is planning without a system, a frantic rehearsal of potential challenges with no clear path forward. The Stoic version of this is the what-if drill, a structured method for stress testing your plans with calm reason instead of anxious emotion. This is where thoughtful preparation meets proactive problem solving, transforming vague concerns into manageable scenarios you are already equipped to handle. Seneca beautifully captured its power, writing that the person who has anticipated the coming of difficulties takes away their force when they arrive. The drill is not about inviting hardship, but about systematically preparing for it through careful thought. Begin with a plan that matters to you, perhaps that important presentation you have next week. Instead of just visualizing success, you deliberately introduce specific, realistic challenges. What if the presentation technology fails? Your predetermined Stoic response is not alarm, but a calm shift to a printed summary or a whiteboard conversation. What if a key participant is called away at the last minute? Your response is to adapt your agenda on the spot, focusing on the essential message for those who remain. What if you are asked a question you cannot fully answer? Your response is to acknowledge it gracefully, commit to finding the information, and smoothly redirect to what you do know. Each what-if question is met not with a fearful reaction, but with a single, practical step you can take. This process builds a deep and steady confidence because you are no longer hoping for a perfect outcome. You are prepared for a realistic one. The pressure to perform flawlessly is replaced by the quiet assurance that you can handle unexpected moments with composure. Take one of your own upcoming important tasks and give it this structured test. Write down 3 specific what-if obstacles that could realistically arise. Then, for each one, draft a single, calm, rational action you would take. You are not predicting the future, you are simply proving to yourself in advance that you possess the resourcefulness to meet it. Your own mind can be the most cluttered room you ever have to think in, filled with the noise of unsorted worries and half-formed plans. Journaling is the Stoic practice of cleaning that room, a daily workout for your decision-making mind. It transforms the swirling chaos of internal pressure into structured lines of text you can actually see and manage. This is not about keeping a diary of events, but about creating a space for thoughtful clarity, where you hold your own thoughts up to the light of reason. Marcus Aurelius never intended his meditations for publication. It was his private journal, a working document where he wrestled with his own perceptions and reinforced his principles under the immense weight of leading an empire. He was his own most demanding teacher, writing to remind himself of truths he was in danger of forgetting. Seneca echoed this vital need for daily self-review, advising that we should subject our days to careful examination. He wrote, "The spirit must be called to account each day. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and measure my words and actions." The simple act of writing with a pen in your hand or typing on a screen forces a slower, more deliberate pace of thought. It demands that vague anxieties take a specific shape, and in doing so, it reveals which concerns are substantial and which are mere shadows. When you are working through a difficult decision, try this straightforward prompt. First, write down the question clearly at the top of the page. Then, divide your thoughts into two simple columns. In the first, answer, what is truly within my control in this situation? Be completely honest, listing only your judgments, your efforts, and your actions. In the second column, answer, what would the most thoughtful action look like here? Would it require courage to face an uncomfortable truth, justice to consider others, wisdom to see the bigger picture, or patience to pause a reactive impulse? Seeing these answers written plainly in your own hand cuts through the emotional fog and points directly toward the path of integrity. So make a quiet commitment to yourself tonight. Before you sleep, take just 5 minutes. Open a notebook or a blank document and write about one single decision you are facing. Do not edit, just let the thoughts flow onto the page. You may be surprised at the clarity that emerges when you give your mind a space to speak to itself without interruption. Your mental energy is a finite resource, and where you choose to invest it determines everything. Picture two circles drawn on a page, one inside the other. The vast outer ring is your circle of concern, containing everything that captures your worry and attention, from global events to a colleague's mood. The smaller, inner circle is your circle of influence, holding only the things you can genuinely affect through your own thoughts and actions. Pressure builds not from the challenges themselves, but from the exhausting habit of pouring your energy into that vast outer ring, leaving the smaller, potent circle neglected. Epictetus offered the timeless guidance for this shift when he taught, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." This is not about giving up, it is about focusing your power where it truly lies. Think about a project at work that feels stalled. Your circle of concern might include a teammate's lack of urgency, a manager's unclear expectations, or the worry of missing the final deadline. These are real concerns, but they exist largely outside your direct command. Your circle of influence, however, contains your own next steps. You can draft a concise email clarifying the project's goals. You can complete your portion of the work with exceptional care. You can request a brief, focused meeting to align the team. The moment you consciously redirect your attention from the outer circle to the inner one, a remarkable shift occurs. The overwhelming pressure begins to fracture into a series of manageable tasks. So take out a piece of paper or simply visualize it in your mind. Draw those two concentric circles. In the large outer ring, list the elements of a current pressure that you are concerned about but cannot personally control. Now, look carefully at that list. Identify any single item that you can move into your inner circle of influence through a concrete action, no matter how small. That simple act of transfer is where you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming their architect. The praise of a crowd can feel like warm sunshine and their criticism like a sudden winter storm. Yet both are fleeting weather patterns entirely outside the walls of your inner citadel. One of the most persistent forms of pressure we face comes from the shifting opinions of others, the desire for approval and the sting of blame. The Stoic answer to this social turbulence is a cultivated equanimity, a profound inner stability that remains unshaken by either applause or accusation. Your worth is not a prize to be awarded by others, but a quality you build through your own virtuous actions. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to remain centered amidst this external noise, writing in his private thoughts, "You have been distracted by business for a long time. You have not yet achieved tranquility or freedom from difficulty. You have not yet become immune to the possibility of discomfort from external things." Or to be gracious to all people, or to see that true wisdom lies in acting justly. An artist who has poured their soul into a creation faces this test directly. A challenging review arrives, and the untrained mind might absorb the criticism as a verdict on their entire talent, spiraling into self-doubt and creative paralysis. The Stoic artist, however, would process the same review with a different set of questions. First, they would separate the observable facts from the value judgment. The review contains specific words written by one individual. That is the fact. The story that this defines my worth as an artist is the optional and difficult addition. Then they would apply the fundamental control filter. Was the writing of the review within my control? No. Is my reaction to it and my decision to learn from any valid points it might contain within my control? Absolutely. The criticism is reduced from a global indictment to a single piece of data, which can be examined calmly for any useful insight before being let go. Think of a recent criticism you received, whether from a colleague, a family member, or even your own inner voice. Can you recall the specific words or the situation? Now hold that memory and reframe it with two quiet questions. First, was this criticism aimed at something that was genuinely within my sphere of control, like my effort or my intention? Or was it about an outcome I could not fully command? Second, and most importantly, does this external opinion change my inherent worth as a person striving to act with integrity? The answer to that second question, when you truly feel it, is where you find the unshakable ground of your own self-respect, a peace that no amount of praise or blame can ever give or take away. Your morning commute is a rhythm you barely notice, a series of automatic actions from your front door to your desk. But what if you were to treat this ordinary journey as if it were the final one? This is the practice of the last time reflection, a subtle mental shift that transforms routine into reverence. It is not an exercise in sadness, but a direct path to experiencing the richness of your own life as it happens. Marcus Aurelius himself turned to this practice, quietly noting in his private writings the last time he would rest in his villa, or walk through the city, or enjoy a simple meal. He was not dwelling on an end, but awakening to the preciousness of the present moment. By consciously considering that any experience could be your last, you gently lift the veil of habit that makes life feel commonplace. The trivial pressures that cling to your day, the frustration over a delayed train or a spilled drink, begin to lose their weight when held against the sheer miracle of being here to experience them at all. The goal is to uncover the extraordinary hidden within your ordinary. Try this today with something as simple as drinking your morning coffee. Before you take the first sip, pause for just a few seconds. Hold the warm cup in your hands. Acknowledge that this could be the last time you ever perform this exact ritual. You are not predicting the future. You are simply opening yourself to the possibility. Then drink. Notice how the flavor seems deeper, the warmth more comforting, the entire moment more vivid and textured. The practice does not change the coffee. It changes your attention, pulling you fully into the present where life is actually lived. So take a moment now to reflect on one seemingly mundane part of your own day, perhaps your walk to the car, or the way the light falls across your kitchen table in the afternoon. How would viewing this as potentially the last time alter your perception of it? Would you notice the scent of the air or the feeling of the ground beneath your feet? This gentle reflection does not amplify loss. It cultivates a profound and lasting gratitude for the simple fact of being alive right now. An obstacle is not a block in your path, it is the path itself. This is the heart of turning the obstacle upside down, a technique that transforms the very nature of a challenge by actively searching for the advantage hidden within its structure. Marcus Aurelius gave us the definitive statement on this practice, writing, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The problem is not the problem, it is the raw material for your solution. This is not positive thinking, it is a form of alchemy, the practical work of converting a perceived negative into a tangible positive. When a project you are leading hits an unexpected delay, the common reaction is frustration, seeing it as lost time and a threat to the schedule. Turning it upside down requires you to actively look for the new possibilities this delay has just created. Perhaps it is an unexpected gift of time, allowing for more thorough research that strengthens your final proposal. Maybe it is a hidden opportunity to build deeper trust within your team as you navigate the setback together. The delay was not something you would have chosen, but by turning it over, you discover it holds benefits a smooth path never could have offered. So take one current obstacle you are facing, something that feels like a pure hindrance. Now challenge yourself to brainstorm 3 specific ways this very situation could be turned into an advantage. How is it forcing you to develop a skill you have neglected? What unnecessary step is it compelling you to cut, making the entire process more efficient? Who might you be connecting with for support that you otherwise would not have engaged? The obstacle has not moved, but your relationship to it has fundamentally shifted. You are no longer pushing against a wall, you are studying it, learning its composition, and finding the handholds that will help you climb. Your day is now complete, but its lessons are still waiting to be collected. The Stoics viewed the evening not as a finish line, but as a quiet classroom for the mind. They practiced a thoughtful review of the day's events, a structured process of turning every single moment, whether smooth or challenging, into material for your growth. This is not about dwelling on what went wrong, but about calmly noticing the patterns in your judgments and actions. Seneca insisted on this nightly ritual, advising that we should call our spirit to account each day. He wrote that the whole day should be summoned to court, a practice that transforms the flow of experience into a clear curriculum for living with greater wisdom. The goal is continuous, gentle improvement, not harsh self-judgment. A simple 3-question format can guide your reflection. First, ask yourself, what did I do well today? This is not about grand achievements, but about moments you acted with clarity or kindness, where your perception was clear and your action was aligned with your principles. Acknowledge these points to strengthen the behavior you wish to cultivate. The second question is, where did I let outside events disturb my peace? When did you grant an external situation, a person's comment, or an unexpected delay, the power to shape your inner state? Identify the moment your judgment assigned a difficult value to a neutral event. And finally, ask, how can I improve tomorrow? Based on tonight's insights, what is one small, specific adjustment you can make? Perhaps it is committing to a thoughtful pause before responding to messages, or consciously applying the view from above during your morning commute. This is not about changing your entire life overnight, but about making one deliberate shift to your internal approach. Make this 5-minute review a steady practice before you sleep. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and walk through these 3 questions with a gentle curiosity. You are not grading your performance, you are gathering your own experience for the wisdom that will make you more resilient and clear-sighted when the sun rises again. The noise of pressure demands an immediate answer, but your path forward is now a series of deliberate, quiet steps. It is time to assemble every tool into a single, flowing framework you can rely on when the moment feels overwhelming. This is your mental checklist for unshakable clarity, a practical synthesis of all we have explored. First, you pause. You create that essential space with 3 conscious breaths, stopping the cascade of reactive emotion before it ever begins. Second, you apply the fundamental filter, the dichotomy of control. You mentally separate what is yours to command, your effort and your intention, from everything that is not, the final results and the actions of others. Third, you describe the situation objectively, stripping away the dramatic story to see the bare, manageable facts. Fourth, you consult your inner compass of virtue. You ask which principle is being called upon: courage, wisdom, justice, or temperance, and you let that guide your action. Finally, you embrace the outcome with the reserve clause, investing your absolute best while holding the result with an open hand. Consider a sudden financial shift, an unexpected bill that arrives with no easy solution. The pressure to react quickly is intense, but you pause, taking a moment to simply breathe. You apply the control filter. Your domain includes reviewing your budget, exploring payment options, and communicating clearly with involved parties. The final resolution lies partly outside that circle. You describe the situation objectively. It is not a disaster, it is a specific sum of money owed by a certain date. You consult virtue. Justice calls for honest communication, courage for facing the situation directly, and wisdom for creating a sustainable plan. Then you act from that place of principle, adding the reserve clause. I will do everything within my power to resolve this fairly and practically, while accepting what lies beyond my influence. The challenge may not vanish, but your turbulent reaction to it does, replaced by the steady calm of a mind that knows exactly what to do next. Pressure was never the true enemy, it was the echo of our own unchallenged thoughts. This entire framework rests on a single, liberating truth, that the weight you feel is not in the events themselves, but in your perception of them, a perception you have the power to reshape through stoic discipline. You now hold the tools to dismantle that pressure piece by piece. Remember the foundational power of the dichotomy of control, that anchor separating your own efforts from external outcomes. Recall the transformative space of the strategic pause, the breath that gives you back your choice, and embody the ultimate shift of Amor, Fati, the profound acceptance that turns every obstacle into your fuel. These are not just techniques, they are the pillars of a resilient mind. Seneca, facing his own immense trials, wrote that the wise person remains calm in the midst of turmoil, not because they feel nothing, but because they have trained their judgment to remain their own. This training is the work of a lifetime, not a single video. It is a daily practice of building your inner citadel, brick by thoughtful brick. So your call to action is simple but profound. In the coming week, choose just one principle from this framework and live with it. Perhaps you will practice the strategic pause before sending a difficult message. Maybe you will apply the view from above to a worry that feels all-consuming. Then, I invite you to return and share a single sentence about your experience in the comments below. Let us build a community of practice, learning from each other's journeys toward clarity. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to a life lived with purpose, not